in the beginning, like when I first was like put on and I had to deal with that, and I was like, oh, that hurts my feelings. I remember being so sad. I was like, why are they so mean? It would make me so self-conscious. It would affect my performance. It would affect what I would say. And then, I didn't work with a bunch of nice men. They just were not nice, and they didn't know how to be nice. I was in their locker room.
Yep.
So I was being hazed. I had to learn how to adjust to their world. They were not going to adjust to me. And so I think I would come at them because I was super sensitive, especially on social media. I was super sensitive. Now I just be like, your mama, I don't care.
Tell us about a moment where you wish you would have said something and you didn't. There's nothing better than this. Say what you mean. 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 Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Aida Rodriguez, and this is another episode of Say What You Mean, where people stop by to share those stories where they wish they would have said something and they didn't. Good for you that they get to say it here first and you get to watch it. I start with my own Say What You Mean, and I'm gonna throw this card away.
Oh.
Because you know what? I feel like everything has been so intense. I just want to say, the other day I saw this really attractive woman, and I don't think she knew it. Like, she was beautiful, but she didn't know that she was beautiful. And I wanted to tell her, girl, you look so great. Girl, you beautiful. Girl, you bad. And I didn't, because I'm scared to talk to people because you never know what the reaction is going to be. And I wish I would have said something. So, hey, lady, I don't know if you watch this podcast, but you were walking on Ventura, right, off of Laurel Canyon by Warby Parker, and I want you to know that you look really pretty in your beautiful dress. You were it was so striking, such a naturally beautiful woman, and I hope you know it.
Yeah.
All right. In the fashion of women supporting women, which at some point became kind of corny to some people because they're always coming for women and try to divide them. I'm very excited to have the next guest on my show because she's vocal about standing up for women, and she is also operating in a pretty male-dominated space and shows up in the best way. So she has her own podcast called Naked with Cari Champion. You've seen her on ESPN and CNN, and you see her on social media getting it in, looking fashionable and beautiful, and in all of the spaces. Please welcome Cari Champion to the show.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. That is so nice. Thank you for those sweet words.
No, I mean it.
It only becomes more and more awkward when you hear people say nice things about you. I don't know why, so I'm just trying to just accept it.
You got to learn. You know what? They teach us to give it, but they don't teach us to receive it.
Correct.
I've been in therapy for a long time, but I went to this group counseling session, and the lady said, women have been taught not to let compliments land. So when a woman is given a compliment, her natural inclination is to give it back because she can't let it rest. I tell her all the time, just say thank you, receive it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's yours. This is your moment. You don't have to give it back to me right now.
Yes, eventually, but yes.
I mean, but but we feel so obligated. Like somebody's like, oh, you're so beautiful.
You're like, no, you're pretty.
Yeah.
No, you're this. No, you're that. And we apologize. So, excuse me. Sorry. Yeah.
But you got to say thank you and receive it.
And walk away. Gosh, that's so hard. Yeah. I received that. Well, that was a great message. Thanks for having me on. I'm so excited to be here. You have no idea. When you asked me, I was truly honored. So thank you.
I think the world of you. And it's funny. My ex had a very big crush on you. And he used to tell me,
Lord.
And then I used to hate on you because I was jealous because I was so insecure in that relationship. And I was like, what you like her for?
She ain't nailed that.
No, it would be like, what you like her for? Why? What is it about her? What is it? Oh, the way that she talks. Yeah. Oh, really? You like the way that she talks? And then you reduce it, and that creates so much chaos. It reduces the man as well, because I'm like, oh, you're not capable of she's really smart. You don't like her because she's smart. You just want to smash. And it was my own insecurity. But I always said that if I ever met you, I would tell you that, because it releases me from an insecurity that held me. I was in a very toxic relationship, so I was jealous all the time about everybody, and it's because I felt so bad about myself.
Yeah.
Because I think you're fabulous. You're fascinating. You're beautiful. You have an amazing body, and you're really smart.
So maybe he might have had a point. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he had more than a point. But I didn't feel that way about myself. So it was like he can't possibly think anybody is great because I'm not great. So how could he? You know what I'm saying?
It's so interesting. We have all been. I don't think there's a single person, man or woman, that's been in a relationship, has not been in a relationship where they felt a little insecure. That's the part of how you find yourself. I'd be in a relationship and I'd be with this guy and I knew he loved me, and a girl walk in and she'd be cute and I'm like, does he like her? Those kind of things just happen when you don't really start, believing who you are, or you could be in a relationship with somebody and you're like, ugh, and you break up with him and you'd be like, oh, why was he so, what did I like? What did I ever see in him? He is awful. So I understand that. You've told me that story before. Yeah.
I felt like it was important to say it to your face because I want to operate in integrity.
That's so nice of
you. And
really
the other thing is that he's not a bad person. He's a nice looking man. He's a great human being. Yeah. We just didn't work together. Yeah. And it was probably the most insecure I have been in my life. I was in complete isolation. So, but it was a great launch pad for me to go into the greatest love affair I've ever had, and that's the one with myself.
Yeah, and by the way, how genius is that? The podcast is called Say What You Mean, and you have to say that. That's the hardest thing sometimes to do, just to come out and say, I had a moment. That's big. So for you to say that releases so much. For me to even say that to somebody I've felt that way about before, envied or watched from afar or thought something else. It is... it's really refreshing because that just speaks to where you are right now. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, because it really had nothing to do with you.
At all.
It was all about what was going on with me. This podcast is about words. How do words show up in your life?
Oh my gosh. Words show up in such a very powerful way. What I do for a living, how I communicate with my friends and my family, how I communicate in relationships. I think I do my best to really try to describe and give a photograph. I want you to hear what I'm saying, and then a visual image pops up. And I think that has been me since I was a kid. I try not to, as you get older, you can't say everything that comes to your mind when you want it, not no more. You can't say everything that comes to your mind, but sometimes I say everything that comes to my mind. And I think more often than not, I have to learn that sometimes holding my tongue, keeping it to myself is usually the answer. That's wisdom. And I'm still working on that every day. So words are definitely you will know how I feel. It's my love language. It is the way I operate in this universe. It's how I make my currency. It's what I am known for. Words are powerful for me.
Yeah. You take a stand. You speak up. Like you, Jamel, like there's a lot of women that operate in the sports world that really speak up, and it comes with a lot of weight because people really, and when people say people hate Black women, people think that it's, that we're exaggerating when we say that or when we hear that. But it really, you can see it. I see it in the comment section. I see.
Yeah, there's a certain level of disdain and vitriol that we have to deal with.
Yeah.
I think, I even say this about Jay. She deals with it. Jamel deals with it a lot more than I do. Yeah, but I do know sometimes when I'm just saying something like water is wet, sky is blue, and you get these comments, you're like, what? Why are you so upset? I think though, even now working at CNN, and you work on certain shows and you're going toe to toe with people who do not believe the way that you believe, or they think, or they're playing in your face, or they're lying to you, and you choose to say something. And I'm going to be honest with you, if I could not say something, if I could live a much more quiet life, if it didn't sit in my spirit and in my belly, I would do that. I would not. I would like to choose the path more traveled. You know what I mean? Meaning like, all right, I don't want no smoke. I don't want to get into it. I would rather do it, but I can't. It's instinctive, and you can't even hold it back. When you really truly, you're like, what are you saying? And so it's tough. I think it would be nice to normalize women, but more specifically Black and brown women having opinions. I think it takes women a long time to have an opinion. And I think you struggle through your 20s, maybe through your 30s, if not your whole life, without giving your opinion because you don't want to offend. We've been socialized not to offend people. We've been socialized not to start trouble. We have been socialized to be appropriate. And so my opinion could be on the level of, inappropriate to appropriate, like mid. And it's like, oh, how dare you say such a thing. And I wouldn't take it back. And being the first in a lot of ways is difficult, but I just wouldn't take it back because it's important for us to find our voice. Because if we didn't have our voices, this world would be in a horrible place. I mean, it's not in a great place, but it would be in a horrible place if people didn't honestly, genuinely, women more specifically, express themselves.
Yeah. When you say the first in a lot of ways, what are you talking about?
I think for me in sports, for me specifically, I can't speak to anyone else's journey. But when I first, started in sports, I was very comfortable with being a woman in sports. I think that oftentimes the women who started in sports, wore big baggy suits and they wanted to fit in with the boys and they wanted people to take them seriously because if they dressed any other way, and people experience this in corporate America
and comedy
too.
As well.
And comedy too. You're like, don't be too cute. Why are you so pretty? You're so distracting. But when I see you, I'm all like, I like it. Stay pretty. That's funny. I can do both. I can walk and talk. I can chew bubble gum. I can do all the things. And I think in sports, I was very discomfortable being a woman. So I was often told your heels are too high or maybe your skirt is too short, and they want to label you. You got to be, smart and dumb, pretty and dumb or really smart and unattractive. You couldn't, I am old enough to remember when we used to talk about women athletes to be the top 10 hottest. It wasn't like the top 10 best. It was like, who's the hottest? And it would be like, you put Anna Kournikova up and all of these random people. You're like, but what about her ability? And so until recently, and I mean that until recently, when women felt like, can I have an opinion? Can I say something? Well, in fact, I do have something to say. And then you're like, actually, it makes sense. And I don't mind listening to her. And I think that for me, working in this world, I was very comfortable with being one of the first Black women to be like, I'm a Black woman. I can be attractive and I can be smart. And I hope you like it. And if you
that's
don't,
it. That's on that.
That's on you. That's on you.
It's really, when I first started doing stand-up, my very first shows, I remember wearing dresses and she was doing stand-up a year before me. And I was like, can I do this? And she was like, you can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
But the men will try to shame you out of it because they will try to tell you, be pleasing to me if you want to be accepted in the group. And that means don't talk about this, don't dress like this, don't do like this. And it just, at some point you depart from that and you're like, you know what? I just
get tired.
Yeah.
It's too much work to remember what you can't do when you're trying to do what you want to do. So and you just get tired.
And you want to do something significant,
So that goes back to, say what you mean. There are many times in sports I haven't said what I wanted to in the early parts of my career. And I'm pretty sure I've made up for it. But but one of the things that I always would want to say was like, it's okay for you to live in both worlds. You can be yes and before yes and was popular to say.
Right. Right. And do you engage people that come at you?
Oh, it depends, right? Like say in the beginning, like when I first was like put on and I had to deal with that and I was like, oh, that hurts my feelings. I remember being so sad. I was like, why are they so mean? It would make me so self-conscious. It would affect my performance. It would affect what I would say. And then, I didn't work with a bunch of nice men. They just were not nice and they didn't know how to be nice. I was in their locker room. Yep. So I was being hazed. I had to learn how to adjust to their world. They were not going to adjust to me. And so I think I would come at them because I was super sensitive, especially on social media. I was super sensitive. Now I just be like, your mama, I don't care. You know what I mean? I'm like, your mama. I'm like, your mama, I don't care.
You know what? As basic as that argument is.
It's just the best comeback ever, your mama. Yeah. Just leave it at that.
You just like, oh, man.
You're like, it means, or I remember one time I wrote, your opinion is noted and completely forgotten. Because I just want you to know that you're just so stupid. But obviously it affected me, but I just had to say something during certain times to make myself feel like I was finding my voice.
Yeah, yeah. And do you feel that it's gotten easier?
No. I don't care as much though anymore. Yeah. That's what happens.
That's when you grow up.
Yeah. I know it hasn't gotten, in fact, it's gotten a lot more difficult. I think now, back in the day, I was just worried about, people trolling me. Now it's whether or not you can stay employed.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like the stakes are higher, far more higher in this current environment that we live in with this current administration. The the stakes are much more higher. You're just like, well, if I say this, am I about to get fired today? Like literally that goes to your mind, which is insane to me. Like the world we live in. And it's happening for you all too.
Oh, absolutely. There's comedians are being targeted.
Yes.
You know, Comcast is being threatened to be sued because they aired a certain comedian that said something that offended the president. Like this is unheard of.
We're in crazy times right now. These are, I was talking to Jamel. I had her on my podcast and she's like, this is wartime journalism. Like it's wartime for comedians. It's wartime. I'm like, well, what do you mean by that? She was like, we just have to, people need information more than ever now. Yeah. People need to laugh more than ever now. Yeah. And we have to be ready to have these conversations, to find out what the information is, digest and give it back to the people. I don't know if you consider it a burden to make the circumstances funny, but people are looking for that. And it's why we do what we do. Yes.
You know, the thing is that we've always set out to make things funny, and those of us who take stand-up seriously and to a level that makes it significant, we want to affect culture. We want to say things that make people think, and in hopes that we can make things better. That's what George Carlin did. I mean, when Richard Pryor said he retired the N-word and he did a whole thing about it, it was funny and it was sad and it was dramatic and it was significant. Yeah. But it was also very, very important in the shifting of culture. Like, because that's somebody you heard say the N-word so much and people idolized them and they gave them permission. And of course, those of us who love stand-up, we only aim to do that. But people out in the world, when they see us, they think we just show up. Yeah. You know, we just came out of nowhere and was like, let me write these jokes.
Yeah, because I think I'm funny today. Yeah. You're like, no, I've been grinding. I know what I'm doing. I'm very prepared. I get it. I think that, I don't know if you feel this way. I just feel like everything is changing in real time. And that makes me feel a little uncertain as someone who cares about our culture and our community. And it's just inherent. I did this because I was a little girl and I would see these videos. I grew up in LA and I'd see on the news rather, just a lot of when they talk about, gangsters, or if they talk about whoever the criminal was, it was an image of a black man or a sketch, a generic sketch, 5'9", black, 6, 210. You're like, that's everybody.
Could be anybody.
And I just remember thinking, why is that? Why is that the case? This is not the world that I know. I know many more capable, loving black men and women, and I want to be able to show that and interview that. So that was my first this is why I want to be a journalist, but I didn't know what it meant. I couldn't actually use my words.
Right.
And then when I was old enough to see and really understand what I thought Oprah was doing was powerful for whatever reason, Auntie Opes, I was like, whatever this woman is doing feels very magnetic, and I like it, and it sounds right. And then of course, I get on this path and I'm like, oh, it's not that simple. You know what I mean? It's just not that simple. And I think that more and more that I stay in this world, I just think, God, what I'm doing is changing. Like every influencers are famous now. They are the ones that people are paying attention to. People want to hear about what you're doing with your beauty regimen. I'm like, I don't feel like recording everything every day, what I'm doing. I don't have time to tell, leave me alone. I'm getting dressed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's just interesting to see how the world, and I know I sound like an old bump on the log, but I am thinking to myself, for what we do now, we just have to adjust to the times. Like you look at Don Lemon. Don Lemon was sitting, legacy media is losing its space. Right. Don Lemon was sitting at CNN reporting the news. Now he's going live, the TikTok, the Substack,
and he is petty. Petty. I love it.
By the way, this is what he's always wanted to do, and he didn't know it.
Oh yeah, he was made for a time like this.
He was made for a time like this. Don said, all I ever wanted to do was be petty. I wanted to be petty Eddie, and I did not know it.
He is doing it.
And he's like, and so I'd like to talk about how fat the president is today. I'm like, Don, how's that news? How's that news?
He stepped out the way for y'all, the journalists.
Yeah, he did. He did. He was like, y'all do that. I'm going to do this.
Well, you know what I think is important? Journalism is so important right now, right? Journalism, historians and journalists are the ones that are chronicling what is happening. Sure. And the problem with what is happening right now is so much misinformation is being given to the people like you said, somebody does a tutorial and can say, a makeup tutorial. And they're like, did you know that the federal bank is crashing? And people believe them and they could be making it up. How does that feel? Because you have to show up and tell the truth. Yeah. Give the facts.
Yeah, we're held to a different standard. I think it's interesting. I think more and more people are followers and leaders. I think that we didn't have that model to be like FOMO, fear of missing out, and I want to be like this person. And when I think about it, I think it's fine. I do believe this though. There's no way that I can change that, and there's no way that we can change. I think we are in a time where lies are the order of the day. You can say whatever you want. And if you really care, and this is what's going to separate you from them and those, if you really care, you can find out the truth. Like the information is at our fingertips. We can literally Google and say, is that who's reporting that? Who's saying that? It's funny you even mentioned this because I have been this way. This is why I was like, I'm so meant to be a journalist. My best friend, shout out to Kendra. My best friend would, and I think you know her, Kendra Carter. Do you know her? Have you met her?
Yeah, I know Kendra.
When years ago, when Barack Obama was running for president and I was a local reporter in Florida, she would call me every other day and be like, they had said. And I'm like, well, who is they? This is before like it was like Instagram and TikTok was a big thing. And she was just like, they had said. There was no TikTok. She was like, they had said. And I would be like, who is they? Who's telling you this? What blog are you reading? And I was always very curious about just making sure I didn't give out the wrong information. I was so sensitive to that. And now today it just doesn't matter. So you follow your favorite influencer, you follow your favorite person. And I just think ultimately at the end of the day, the truth will trickle down. It'll just take a long time to get there.
Yeah. Well, it's outrageous to watch a news outlet giving out bad information.
We don't, all the what outlets we're talking about, they are okay with lying. We don't have there's nobody holding anybody accountable. We are in crazy times.
Yeah.
Like I had never felt like there are no rules and there are no regulations to this game anymore. No matter, they're just do it how you want to do it. If you want to be honest, if you want to speak the truth, so be it. But that's not how to me, it doesn't seem like that's how you win.
That's crazy.
Like the Democrats are being appropriate. I'm like, you need to get in the mud because that's not how you win. You better start talking about somebody's mama. Like you can't, those days are gone.
Yeah.
So
it's sad, but it's true.
I think President Trump has really made the common language much more powerful than trying to say the right thing. And that time, and by the way, that's what you and I try to do. We try to be authentic. We try to speak truth. We say what we want. We're funny, but that's literally what it is right now. You know what I mean? It's like, gotta have fun.
Sometimes it's like, sometimes I'll see something and I'm like, is this really happening? Like I never thought that I would be that I could be even more appalled. And then
like, no, but let me show you.
And it's like on a daily basis, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like when did human decency leave the chat? Like, and that's been gone.
Done.
It's no.
Well, that's why I said you can say your mama. Like it's fine. It's funny, but like nowadays I'm just like, I don't even know. I'm about to be I don't know if I'm going TV and I just go crazy or and then become super popular. You know what I mean? Because people, they love to see you lose your mind now.
Oh no, that's the thing.
They love to see you lose your mind.
You get a scandal or you become unhinged. Yeah. And then now you got $1 million.
Perfect. We need that. Can we do that again just like that?
Yeah.
A funny story. One time we were working and you know Heraldo Rivera.
Of course.
And you say what you want about him, he's still legacy. Like everyone has watched him. He's done some really great journalism. And we were on a panel together and during the commercial break, 2 of the panelists got into an argument. And it was so intense. And we were trying to pretend. And I was just like on my phone. Like, you know how you ever be in that awkward moment where people are just going at it? Like or like a couple, you like on a date with a friend and then the other couple get into a fight and you're trying to pretend like you don't know. And Heraldo Rivera, after they got done arguing and they got ready to go back to live television, he goes, I'm going to tell you something. If this was my television show, I'd be pissed off. You don't do that during the break. You do it on TV. What's wrong with you? I was dying. I was like, oh, I love it. Because he ain't lying. Like, what we doing? We entertaining. It's like at its core. So it was really one of these moments where I was just like, okay, this is what it is.
He knows how to do it. I mean, he used to do it on a talk show. So
every day.
Okay, so this segment of the show is called Should Have Kept That. I'm going to share a story with you that came to us by way of various mediums. And you tell me, I'll tell you what they said and you tell me if they should have said it or if they should have kept it.
Okay.
I came out of the closet recently. I have a queer girlfriend who has started hitting on me ever since she found out that I was gay. It became annoying because she won't stop. I finally told her that she wasn't my type and she was pissed. She doesn't want to be friends anymore. She says that I'm elitist. The truth is that I'm attracted to studs. She just really isn't my type. Should I have kept it or should I have told her?
She should have just told her. I think she should have been like, you're not my type.
Yeah,
I don't want to. Yeah, you guys are friends. You should have just said you're not my type. I don't know any woman who hasn't been in that position. I just don't know any woman who hasn't, whether you are, gay or not, I don't know any woman that hasn't been hit on by another woman, and you have to be like, okay, I'm going to ignore it the first few times. Then eventually you got to be like, all right, so here, say sus.
I like boys.
Yeah, strictly. You know what I mean? Like, sorry.
Yeah.
But I look, I understand, because that's again that woman like the pathology of we have to get along to get along. You don't want to hurt nobody's feelings.
Yeah, but that, I think honest relationships, being honest in a...
Did you see the Sex and the City episode when Charlotte was hanging out with the lesbians and they got mad at her and she couldn't hang out with them when she told them she was straight? Yeah. Nobody want to get kicked out the group. They cool because they so cool. You like, damn, y'all do all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
I can't hang out with y'all no more.
Yes, that was funny. I remember.
You're like...
You're going to kick me out of
I know. Group? Do I lie? How long do I keep this going? It's like a girl who's dating a guy who want to get something out of him. She's like, how long can I keep this going for?
That's a lot of work.
Too much. Too much. But it's the same.
It's
same thought process of like, I don't want to, I get it. Like, I get why women don't want to say anything, but I would just say it.
But women, I'm tired of poor women having to bite their tongue and say, and the thing is that that's equal opportunity, baby, because you will tell a dude, bro, I don't like you like that.
For sure.
So I should be able to tell you that too. Welcome to the world of equality.
You're so right. Okay, fine. All right, that's it. From now on, I'm like, no matter what. But I'm gonna get in trouble. I ain't gonna say that. I'm gonna keep that. I'm gonna keep that.
All right, here we go. Say it with your chest. This is our lightning round. Smash or pass. Nap dates.
Nap dates? Mm-hmm. Like you date somebody, you guys go back to the house to take a nap?
That's the whole purpose. They just come over to nap together. Y'all tired. Y'all grown.
Only nap?
I think she's a pass.
I'm a full pass. Yeah, no, if you're coming over just to nap, I don't know anybody's coming to my house to nap. I want to nap by myself. I take my naps very seriously. That's the only reason why I say that.
Oh, I saw that. I could feel that.
Oh, no, I'm a hardcore napper. Like, if you don't come over here playing with me if you don't know how to nap, because my naps are actually catching up on sleep. I'll do a 2-3 hour nap.
Yeah,
easy.
Same. Me too. Would you rather the sunlight or the moonlight?
Moonlight.
Moonlight.
I like moonlight. Tells a story.
How old were you when you met your first celebrity? You're from LA?
Yeah.
Oh, that was
like since I was born.
6 months.
Yeah, I know, right? No, maybe like my friend, one of my really good girlfriends, and I didn't know this in second grade, her mother was a former Supreme. So that was my first celebrity, but I didn't know who her mother was. My mother was so excited about it. And when I went over for a sleepover, my mother was losing her mind and I just couldn't understand why she was getting so excited about it. So that was like, I probably was 7, 8, second grade. 7 or 8. Yeah.
I'm like, did you have a play date with Tracy Ellis Ross? No.
Don't I wish.
The Supreme, right?
I would have said Diana. That's my girl. No, she was Mary Wilson.
Oh, man.
And my friend was Turkessa. I don't know where she is, but I got bused to school and went to school together. And then we were like the only little black girls in school. We'd always hang out. I had no idea who her mother was. Turkessa just felt different in a lot of ways, but not like fancy different. She just felt different. Like she had lived a lot of different lives or been exposed to more things. And then that's when I met her mom, and her mom was so sweet. And it was the first time, honestly. And my mom was a beautiful, elegant woman, but it was the first time I had been to a really big, beautiful house. And this woman had all this hair in her closet. And I was like, what is
nice.
I was just like, and it wasn't like my grandma's wigs. And I was like, what is going on? And she was she had gowns. And it felt very palatial and special. And then I saw the way my mom was acting. I was like, oh, okay, she's a celebrity. But then after a while, she was just my girl. And I didn't think anything of it.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah.
Fight or flight, the 7 dwarves.
My first response is to fight because I'm aggressive. So I'm gonna say fight. Yes, fight. Yes, no.
He's
I'm on
fighting a
set.
7. Who you swinging on first?
Anybody who roll up on me that get on my nerves that talk too much. Just anybody roll up on me who get on my nerves that talk too much. What's the grumpy one? Probably that one.
The grumpy one. It ain't dopey because dopey always. Is it dopey? It's a dopey one. Yeah.
What grumpy? It was grumpy. Grumpy, I'd be like, you need it. You get one. I'm fighting him. You taking one.
I love that you're fighting the 7 dwarfs.
Just because.
They've had so much controversy in the last couple of months.
It's like, they always fighting us. I'll fight you back now.
Yeah. I love it. If you could say anything to your favorite teacher, what would it be?
Oh, Mrs. Beltran. And I went to Vintage Elementary School, which is in the Valley. I would tell her, thank you so much for being patient with me. Mm-hmm. She was my very first teacher who believed in me. I was getting bused from school from LA, and that's when busing was a big deal. And the kids made me feel like I was coming from the ghetto. You know what I mean? Like, coming to literally integrating their society. And I remember, because kids say little mean things they hear their parents say. And Mrs. Beltran was so very patient with me because they used to try to put me in these classes that were like slower.
Of course.
And now you can't be in the regular class. And she was like, no, I think she's actually smarter than we think. And she took me outside and spent some time with me, and she would do it every day. Next thing you know, she put me in gifted classes. She was like, we've misplaced her. And I was like, God bless you, Mrs. Beltran.
What school was that?
Vintage Elementary.
And where was that?
Literally, I lived in West LA, and that was in the Valley, and it was right next to Nobel Junior High, Chatsworth, Northridge.
Oh, in Northridge.
In Northridge, yeah. And that was
That's a long way.
Oh no, I was working like an adult since I've been.
Yeah,
I've been
that
like
is
a full long work day since I was a kid. Yeah.
Girl, that sounds like a civil rights movie.
I was.
Like,
I would get going to the bus stop really early, going to the hour and a half to school, hour and a half back. I know anything you do for education. I wouldn't take it back though. It was
no,
good.
that's. I mean, I'm the mom that was driving. My kids went to school in the Valley, but there was a time when I was driving from Ladera Heights to Woodland Hills on a daily basis.
Oh wow! See, same. That's a grind.
Yeah,
it is a grind. But I was on the bus, so you was driving, so your kids was happy. They were safe.
Well, one of them, but the other one got bused.
Okay,
one of them got bused
because you just don't know what you're gonna get when you get on the bus. Mm-hmm. It's just you're like, what is this surprise today? What kids will be on here today? So yeah, it was nice.
Man,
it was nice. It taught me a lot. It kept me, I think, just more well-rounded.
Yeah, the funny things is the things that we are grateful for are our own adversity and struggle. Yep. We will say, I'm grateful for that because I am where I am.
Right.
And then I'll hear my little niece saying like, like I know what she really wants to say is that nobody has to struggle. Like we should. And I'm like, girl, it made me, I'm going to survive the apocalypse. You are not.
It's a skill set that we develop. Right? We literally develop a skill set for being latchkey kids. I had a key around my neck. I was doing all this stuff. I came home, keep turn the TV off, do my homework, wait for my mom to come home. And I just build a discipline. But I wouldn't want to do that for my kids.
Of course not.
I wouldn't want to, but I mean, I'm grateful for it because I can see the structure and what it gave me.
No, I know. None of us. That's why our children are horrible people.
Yo, we were just reading about that. They had this, I was in the New York Times and they were talking about, this generation, like we spoiled our kids. Like they literally don't understand a struggle. And so if they don't understand the struggle, the entitlement is real and quick and fast and deserving in their eyes.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. How did we get here so quickly?
Yeah.
So quickly.
Yeah, I think a little bit of struggle is essential to building character.
Heck yeah.
Because there's nothing you can do. You cannot shelter your kids from struggle, even if you think you are. Because whatever you think you're doing at home, when they step out into the real world, somebody's like, shut your ugly ass. Like,
I used to say, like, my mom would say to me, even though you had struggle, I don't think I taught you how to be humble. Like, you feel very like I can do whatever I want. And I wonder if I should have taught you more humility. And I was like, well, why? Because life gonna do it.
Every day.
I was like, I'm gonna be old enough and life will do it.
Every
Life will shut me down, which it surely has in many ways, in many experiences, with many different types of opportunities and lives and experiences that I've had. I was like, yeah, no, life has done that. Don't worry. It's fine.
Well, I'm so glad that you were able to make it here today.
Thank you for having me. Hold on. I keep hitting your sure mic. Are you going to kick me out?
No.
Okay.
I want you to tell people what's going on. What else is up? What's coming next?
Okay, so I still have my podcast, Naked Sports. You can definitely check this out. And I don't know when this airs, but I'm also at CNN, so you can watch me on CNN. I do the morning show, and we live at the intersection of sports, culture, and entertainment. And we came up with that idea, or I came up with that idea because I think,
Claim it. I came up with that idea.
I'm not gonna give anybody else any credit, but it was something I really wanted to do because for so long people used to tell me to stick to sports whenever I would try to have an opinion about the culture or the world. And I was like, no, they all do intersect. So if you consider me an expert in one field, I can tell you something else, how that relates to the world that I live in my Black body, in this Black experience, this woman experience. And so we've been working on ways to really kind of just make that make sense. And there's so many different ways to do it. I'm not going to bore you. Don't have to talk like sports all the time, but that's a really special project for me, just creating that new lane, but it's also hard, right?
Yeah.
Because it's new. And then I am doing Art Arena, which is basically where I take a famous athlete and a very famous artist, like a Mickalene Thomas and a Venus Williams. And Mickalene Thomas is one of the greatest artists of our times. Like, I don't know if you know her. She has she's just a beautiful Black woman who does so much great work. So I'll take like a Mickalene Thomas and a Venus Williams, and I have them talk about their experience. And it's very similar to our experience, like what we went through, how we were a first or not a first, or the struggles, or what we're still dealing with. No matter how accomplished we are, we still got to pull out our resume and be like, see, I did this and I was really good. Hire me. And the goal was just to find that synergy. And you mentioned when you talk about me, being a woman and supporting other women. Look, I'm not perfect at it, but I do my best to do that. And I think at the bottom, at the core of anything I do, I want to just hold the door open for other women.
That sounds so beautiful. And then how can people find you?
You can find me on my Instagram, which is Cari Champion. You can find me I'm not on X. I got off that because they beat me up. And then you can find me on YouTube. It's Cari Champion, which is my YouTube channel. You got to support the YouTube channel. That's real. And those are the two main platforms that I live on. Find me on YouTube, and then obviously follow my podcast, Naked Sports.
Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you showing up for another episode of Say What You Mean. We want to invite you to follow us on social media at SWYM Pod on all social media platforms. If you are listening, please hit the subscribe button if you're on Spotify or Apple. If you are watching, please hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to give us your rating and your review. And we will see you next time on Say What You Mean.